Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. We are really happy to host an event here with Nordic Innovation House, where Ragnsells is going to tell you about the future of food production, clean production, and cleaner oceans. Now, I'm standing here between the audience and food, so this is about the last chance you have to grab something to eat. So go for it, and otherwise you will have to wait till we are done. But that's my part for now. I would like to have Lars take the stand for a moment, and we'll get started with the program.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you so much. I think for the video, you have to come a little bit further here.
Okay.
So we're also going to say hi to everybody listening live on Facebook. And everybody who are here, if you can actually now go on Facebook and share this event. You have these hashtags. You know how hashtags works? You know how hashtags works? Good. So type them in your phone, share this unique opportunity and moment in time. Thank you, Sylvia, so much for hosting us here today. It's going to be really interesting to hear what Ragnsells learnings have been over these days. They have been at the UN. Is someone saying something in the public? You want to turn up the volume? Okay, well, we have to ask someone doing that for WeWork. I hope it's good at live. Is it good live? They said yes. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, she's going to turning up the volume. So we're going to... Yeah, we're going to have an interesting program. So we start a little bit with some questions to you, Silva, as well.
Okay, perfect.
First of all, I mean, who are you and what are you doing here?
Well, I think that I kind of skipped that part when I did the opening, but that gave you the opportunity to ask for that. So I'm Silve Parvian, and don't even try with my last name. I'm the director of Nordic Innovation House, which is a soft landing platform for Nordic companies that are looking for a foothold in the US. So in plain English, what does it mean is that we help companies from all 5 Nordic countries, that is Denmark, Iceland, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, when they are looking to open shop here in New York. And we try to cut down the risks and the time involved with various ways and various services. We are supported and backed by all 5 countries, so we are fully publicly funded as of now, and are a pretty unique collaboration for not 3, but rather 5 independent countries pooling resources in a way like this.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And have you had the big opening yet?
We had our big opening almost a year ago in September, and this space, which is, I believe, meant for about 100-150 people at max, was fully booked. We had a very high level representation from all the Nordics, a ministerial level, Minister for Foreign Affairs or trade ministers, and with the task of pitching Nordics to New York audience. And the amazing thing was that they actually did that trick fantastically. It was an amazing situation, an amazing opportunity to see our ministers crack jokes on one another and kind of like take the lead on telling what makes the Nordics such a special place and why the companies coming out from the Nordics are so promising and something that you really need to take a look at.
Yeah, and we've been doing work with your friends in San Francisco and Palo Alto for 5 years. And later in September, we're also going to the opening of Nordic Innovation House in Singapore. So you're growing.
Nordic Innovation House network is growing, and that is fantastic. So it tells about the need and the will of cooperate and the need to have this kind of landing platform in various places in the world. So the San Francisco operation obviously was the first one, and and from the success of that, the others then followed.
All right, we have a great program coming up, so thank you so much, Silva.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So obviously there's a reason why we are here. Anyone heard about the challenges with the climate? Is it important? I can't hear you.
Yes. Of course.
Is it important?
Yes.
Yes. Well, as you can hear from New York, they think it's really important with the climate. So this is the most important, we should say also opportunity and challenge at the same time in our lifetime. And that's what we're going to hear more about here from Ragnsells, how they are addressing this. This is a little bit short actually about what my group are doing. We're actually solving the global climate challenges with technologies, with education, and with financing. So that's a very short note about what we are doing. So we go next. Also a little announcement. Since we are in New York, you all agreed that it was important with the climate. For 5 years, we have been doing something called Nordic Impact Week in San Francisco. And in March, we're calling out for co-creators from you who wants to participate and make an impact for the climate. So go to hello at cleantech region and sign up and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. And we're going to work out on a program. And we have Peter Fusaro here today, who is doing the 18th Wall Street Green Summit. And we're hoping that we could do something in conjunction with Wall Street Green Summit in March. And then going to have some of the best technologies here from the Nordics, meeting the world here in New York, and make an impact for the climate. We go next. So with that, I would like to welcome Lars, CEO of Ragnsells. Hey Lars, welcome. You can come a little bit closer. So there you go. You're so tall. Or I'm short, maybe. Yeah. So Lars, welcome to New York.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and Ragnsells.
Of course, my name is Lars Linden. I'm the group CEO of a Swedish company called Ragnsells. We are in the waste management and recycling sector of society. We have been around for many years, and we push one mantra, and we want to make the world circular. I hope everyone knows what that means, but we will perhaps come back to that. Thank you.
Okay, so you've been here now for a number of days. At UN, what have you been doing?
Well, these last couple of days, the UN have gathered for a summit called the SDG Business Forum. It's a yearly event that connects the private sector and the UN to discuss the development on the SDG goals that I'm sure everyone have heard about. These are a set of goals that has as an objective to make the planet sustainable. And we were invited to talk about this topic. And as I previously mentioned, in our personal or our business view and mission and vision, we have to make this planet circular. And we presented some examples how to do this. But for you to understand what it really is about, think about it as like this. We say that we are in a linear economy currently. And to live our lives as mankind, we dig up resources from the crust of the earth. We manufacture, we produce products and services, and then everything that we have, we throw them away. But the circular economy is to secure that whatever we have dug up, we should reuse it, reuse it, reuse it over and over again, so that we avoid taking up so many resources from the crust of the earth. We should not forget that the process of extracting materials and minerals from the earth, producing and manufacturing products and services, stands for 70% of the energy consumption of the world. So we have to start somewhere, and our firm belief is that by advocating this principle, talking about this, we will eventually make the world transform into a circular environment.
Thank you, Lars. I mean, you have decades of experience, and also the Nordic countries have done very well in the environmental sector. Now you've been here at the UN and you specifically have presented a new technology. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, first of all, I would like to state that the Nordic countries and the northern parts of Europe, we are in the forefront of making things happen. It's very clear that someone has to take the lead, and I feel that we should be a little bit proud that we are in this position. And yes, we are talking about a new technology, and it's about preventing the world to start to starve. Did you know, guys, that phosphorus, a little element in the periodic system, is required to feed the planet? Without this little element, half of the planet would actually starve. There wouldn't be enough food on the table. So it's about recovering phosphorus. And traditionally we dig out phosphorus from the crust of the earth, and we distribute it to different fertilizing streams. But this phosphorus is very contaminated, and we get a lot of environmental issues from it. But what people don't know is that we have phosphorus all over society, primarily in the sludge streams that come from water sewage plants. So we can, with this technology, extract the phosphorus from the sewage that we first have to incinerate, extract the phosphorus, and by doing so detoxifying and also extracting other interesting or scarce earth metals and other components that are required for other production chains. So it's a very interesting technology, and it's a very good example of how you can make something circular.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I've been in this industry for 12 years, and if you're looking into the need of phosphorus for all survival, it's really, should we say, breaking news, or even more than breaking news. And I understand that you're also working with the Swedish mining company LKAB, or LKAB, as we say in Swedish. What is that collaboration about?
This is a very good example of a private-public partnership. In Sweden we also have mining industry, and our technology and our patents, they are applicable directly on the leftovers of the normal mining process. So the mining industry typically digs up a lot of stone and boulders, and they typically mine copper or iron or whatever. But then they pile up these residues. They pile up these residues in very high volumes. And what we are doing together with this mining company is using this waste from the mining to extract, amongst others, phosphorus and other interesting materials. So this is once again an example of where you avoid taking more stuff out from the crust of the earth and rather using what has already been dug up.
Yeah, that's congratulations. What would be the recommendations? I don't know why we have this noise, but now it's better. What is the most important for Ragnsells as a group, and also a message that you would send out to anyone listening to this?
Thank you for that. The most important thing for Ragn-Sells is to make the world understand that we have to change the path of development. We have to go from a linear to a circular economy. If we don't achieve this, we will never be able to reach the sustainable development goals that have been put forth of the UN.
Keep going.
And to expand on that, we invite all of you to spread this gospel, talk about circular economy, talk about sustainability, and please put some good solutions out there, because one solution after the other will create a momentum, and then we will eventually meet the end game of the circular economy where all the waste streams will principally have disappeared.
Fantastic. So finally as well, what are you looking for? Who do you want to talk to? I know you want to talk to everybody in sludge here in New York, but who do you want to get in touch with?
Well, primarily, where do you find the sludge? In every city you find sludge. Every city, every country, every region that has a sludge and water waste facility can start to recover the phosphorus. So we welcome every local or regional player that is part of this system. And today we are in New York, and we are very interested to hear what we can do in New York, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, this is critical for cities. Every city has this challenge. We're okay, yeah. So every city has this challenge. So and today as well, cities are maybe doing better than actually countries, because you have really driven mayors in each city who are more pragmatic.
That is correct, but at the end of the game, the cities has to assume the responsibility by applying the rules and regulations so that we can actually make it happen. There's always a discussion, you know, the hen and egg, who goes first, but the regulatory environment has to be there for sure, or else any development will be hindered.
All right, well, fantastic. You have been hectic days, so I congratulate you, Ragnsells Group again. And we're going to see more about you. Thank you very much, Lars.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So, thank you. Thank you, Lars. We're going to hear more in detail, so hang around from Pär Larshans, the Chief Sustainability Officer. We're going to give more in detail what it means with this phosphorus solution they have. So I would like to introduce Peter Pesaro. He's a good friend. We've known each other for many years. You are a guru in sustainability. Peter, who are you and what are you doing?
Yes, I guess it's not on. Hello. First of all, thank you, Lars, for inviting me and to Nordic Innovation House for hosting this. I've been involved in sustainability and green since Earth Day 1970. So I have a very long track record. I've worked with EPA taking lead out of gasoline in 1976, and I'm very happy to report I took that same idea to Asia in 1993. And we have no lead in gasoline anymore in the world, and that's helped children's health. I've also worked in the mayor's office here in New York City, building the first energy efficiency programs in New York in the 80s. I worked with Toyota on the Prius in 1997. I now work in hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. And where I sit today is I've been a policymaker. Oh, by the way, I was also head of consulting at ABB. So I've been to Stockholm, as well as Oslo. And long story short, policy, technology, but where I sit now is finance. The game, very simply, is to accelerate capital flow into sustainable solutions in energy, water, agriculture, waste to value. And the reality is we're talking about a $6 trillion business called energy, a $5 trillion business called food, a $3 trillion business called water. There's a tremendous opportunity, and we're underinvesting in this sector. Bloomberg New Energy Finance puts a metric out every year. So $335 billion was put in clean energy last year. Should be $1 trillion. We're going to make a dent on climate change. We're going to have to accelerate capital, and there's plenty of capital available. I work also in the world of impact investing, where you're starting to see millennials who are not going to wait 40 years, and I'm almost 50 years into this, to get things done. And what I've learned from wealth managers, they want to kick the tires. They want to know that their investment is doing something for a social benefit. And the reality is, we're all in this together. We have not done anything to mitigate climate change, period. We have not mitigated 1 metric ton. When I started this journey, we were at 22 billion tons. Now we're at 36 billion tons a year. And when you combust fossil fuels, they go into the stratosphere for 100 years. So we have a big challenge, but it's also a great opportunity.
Peter, you have decades of experience. How do we get Ragnsells into the sludge business in New York?
Well, actually, I work with a UK autoclave technology. Autoclave does not mean you sort the waste stream. So you have the bottles and the cans. You put them through, basically, I call it steam cleaning for an hour and a half. And then you create a green fiber, which you can put in a power station. This is a proven technology in the UK. And we're bringing that to the tri-state area. That's New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
But so coming back to Wall Street Green Summit, 18
Yes.
years, and now it's the 18th coming up, right?
Right. We are the oldest sustainable finance event in North America. We only do it once a year. It's March 25th. We actually bring in new topics. So one of our topics next year will be investable oceans. So about a month ago was World Ocean Week at the UN, but I was also at the Explorers Club. So we basically bring in new topics that no one's ever seen before, because everybody's going to borrow those topics, and that's fine.
And Peter, how do we attract Nordic technology companies from Ragnsells to come here?
Basically, what we do is provide finance. And my partner has raised $4.5 billion from the capital markets in the last 30 years. So I'm the head of origination. I bring in the deals. Right now, I'm working on a big data play for ESG that the UN Pension Fund is using, and we're going to help scale that. So that's for sovereign wealth funds, pension funds. I'm looking at ESG metrics in a very different way, not like everybody else, MSCI or REPRIF, whatever. Secondly, I also work in energy efficiency, where we provide finance for building owners, schools, hospitals, to put in lighting retrofits, heating and cooling retrofits, boilers. It's an old idea called shared savings, been around for 30 years, just hasn't gotten the traction.
So Peter, my 12 years in this industry has been frustrating. Frustrating because we have solutions, there is a lot of money out there. Why isn't this transformation happening?
Okay, the first thing is we had a cleantech bubble from the zeros, which a collapse. Now I look at this very differently. I look at this as much more sustainable, not to be punny about it. The reality is we now have myriad solutions. For example, I worked in North Carolina with a solar fund. Solar prices, solar energy has come down 90% in the last 7 years. And it'll probably come down another 50%. It is affordable all over the world. I've also worked with an NGO in India where we helped 25,000 families with a solar kit, a battery, and an LED lamp. So the reality is, what has been the stumbling block is education. And I've been a professor at Columbia University teaching renewable energy, project development, and finance to second-year grad students. So I've spent 25 years writing 17 books, 700 articles, 2,000 speeches to seed the interest in this sector. And what I've learned is you need knowledge capital. And that resides, in my opinion, in young people. So I've spent a lot of time mentoring young people from throughout the world. I taught in SIPA, School of International and Public Affairs. This is a global problem. This requires a heavy, as my father would call it, heavy lifting. This is not easy. This requires intelligence, perseverance. I spoke at University of Colorado, the Deming Center on Sustainability, and that night the dean said, "What did you tell my students?" I said, "It's not Mickey Mouse, but you've got to be perseverant." And my wife has an expression, "Don't quit before the miracle." This is not easy, but it's important for humanity and species. And we have tremendous opportunity. I'm also very involved in fintech, blockchain technology for what we call natural capital. And what's natural capital? Birds, fish, mammals, forests, water. And there's a group coming out of the UK called Viridium Labs. We'll be with the chairman in a couple of weeks. What I have learned, because I have mentored so much, Now it's all coming back to me. I'm like a hub. So one of my former interns, which we've had hundreds, and the reality is we need the knowledge to get this done.
No, I agree totally. In the world today, we need a new operating system on governance, on civil society, on business, but it's down to us on individual level. It's up to you and me what we do, and you come up to how do we become better? Well, through education. And with that, I want to mention something that will be here in March, and that's a Finnish global initiative on education called Start North. They want to do exactly what you were describing. They want to bridge the gap from academia today to deliver talent fast enough and with the correct education today. But education is absolutely the key. I totally agree.
Also, within universities, I was on the board of the University of Michigan for 8 years, Urban Institute for Global Sustainable Enterprise. And what I have seen with young people, they don't want to go work and just make money. They want to make a difference. And I've seen them quit Goldman Sachs, quit Oxzip, which is a big hedge fund here in New York, to go work on a sustainable path. I have seen so many young people that want to have value on what they're doing. It's very endemic. I see this all over the world. And I have a call option on young people. That means in the money. I'm very optimistic about the future.
Okay, so Peter, fantastic. Thank you so much for attending here. And we're looking forward to the 18th, Peter Pharsaros, Wall Street Green Summit in March. And hopefully we can have Nordic Impact.
We will do that too. Thank you.
Big hand for Peter.
Thank you.
Vi har en specialgäst. Ja, precis. Let's hold that.
Can you put this in my pocket?
Here. Have it. Okay, so we're back. We also have a very special. Give up a big hand for Les Newman. Come closer. Come into the camera.
You can keep Peter Pharsaros' picture up there. We look kind of alike.
Yeah, so this is my trusted partner and friend also for many years, Les Newman.
Thank you. See, Peter?
You can talk in the microphone, right?
When I see your wife later, I'll send her your regards.
Yeah. So Les now, he has 7 decades of experience in this field.
Oh, God.
He's been setting up businesses, you've done IPOs, and now you are going to retire to Florida. How are we going to cope with that?
Well, we are not retiring. We're going to Florida partly, but we are not retiring.
So it's been an honor to work with you over the years, and now we're looking forward to see how we can do with the Nordic Impact Week. What are your takings and what's your recommendations for anyone interested from the Nordics to come here?
Well, it's interesting. We have been working with early stage companies looking to commercialize. My day job here is I run a technology cleantech incubator or accelerator. Those words are kind of becoming a little blurred, so we're not really sure what one means over the other. But our mission is to provide mentoring, advisory services for early stage companies or companies that are coming to the United States looking for a foothold to commercialize their products. Peter is probably the next step in the rung looking for money. We help you decide how to get there. Are you prepared? What do you need to do? What products? What's the competition landscape? Is your personnel ready for this? Are you ready for this? Those are all big questions. Oftentimes we get a lot of entrepreneurs with wonderful ideas, and the best advice we can tell them is, don't quit your day job, this isn't going to work. So those are big hurdles. So we provide the infrastructure for you, with you, and ultimately the commercialization is a big deal. The United States, New York is, let's face it, this is the place to be. This is where companies want to commercialize. This is where companies say, I want to be in New York, I want to be in the United States. Sometimes that's the right answer, sometimes it's not the right answer. Sometimes we need to get a foothold in smaller venues before moving into the largest venue in the world. Those are things that we can help provide. Those are services that we have with our connections, our mentors, our executives, who are literally all over the world. So it's not just New York we're focused on. We have developed a very interesting network of executives, consultants, professionals, who we dub as mentors and advisors from literally all over the world. So if there's a particular topic that you need assistance on, we can find a professional or a consultant or someone who's in the business to work with you and help you and guide you through those necessary steps to achieve commercialization, so you can go to finance and they'll understand what you're doing and you're making the presentation the right way.
Fantastic, thank you, Les. A big hand for Les.
Big hand. Good looking guy, good looking guy.
So Les, wait, one
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
So I love the fact you're going to Florida, so I can come and visit you. I've never been to Florida.
You've never been to Florida? Well, we'll make sure you get to Disneyland.
Thank you. Okay, so how are you guys doing? Good? Great. Woohoo! Okay, so and we hope everybody online at live also follow us and you're sharing this. This is kind of very important, and with further ado, I also would like to introduce Pär Larshans. You're the Chief Sustainability Officer. That's a very...
It's a very fancy title.
It is. What does it mean?
I have an even longer title, Chief Sustainability, Corporate Responsibility and Public Affairs Officer. It means that we take responsibility for society's challenges, giving solutions that is both good for the society, the business, and of course, the one that needs the solution, the people. So more or less, my job is to coordinate everything, make it happen.
But you're going to guide us through phosphorus and so on, but from your perspective, what do you see that we'll have to do? What would you encourage people to do?
I would like to say we need to give 3 answers. That's on why we need to do it, how to do it, and of course, when we need to do it. And that will be my presentation. In 20 minutes maximum, I will try to answer all those 3 questions. And hopefully, both you that are listening on this one or watching it, and also you in the audience, will then go to your politicians locally and say, well, now I know when to do it, why we should do it, and how to do it.
Hit the floor.
Thank you. This will be about how we need to have a sustainable phosphorus solution going forward. This is the phosphorus management is crucial, and the question is, why is it crucial? Well, Lars, in the beginning, our CEO said this is about, if we don't have phosphorus, we would reduce our food production with 50%. I would like to say it's even worse. Take the next picture. It's about life. Without phosphorus, we won't have any life. It's a part of the DNA string. So the walls in the DNA, it contains of phosphorus. And yes, there's a lot of phosphorus in the ecocycle, but phosphorus is the only scarce resource in food production or in nutrition that we have to live on. So we need to be very careful with it. So for me, phosphorus is about life. And if you understand that, probably understand that we need to act. The situation is that we now are mining a lot of phosphorus from under the Earth's crust. And the problem is that we have mined the resources that are really very nice to mine. What's left now is heavily contaminated, both with cadmium but also with uranium. This is an example from the mine in West Sahara. That's the largest mine in the world, or the largest content of known resources of phosphorus. We have phosphorus in many different places in the world. The red dots mean exactly what I stated, heavily contaminated with cadmium, with heavy metals. And this, we don't like to have it put in our food. So therefore, the question, do we have phosphorus in other places? Yes, we do have. This is the known resources on a global level. On the top floor, we have Morocco, or West Sahara, that today has 78% of the known resources in the world. So more or less, we are heavily dependent in today's food production from just one part of the world. Yes, there are some production in US. Yes, there are some production in China and so forth. But the problem is still there's one big source just, and we can't really rely on that, both because of the problem when it comes to politics. You never know what's going to happen. So we need to find other ways, and we have it flowing under us, under our streets. So how can we solve that? The problem with the content is not the content of cadmium, but also highly content of uranium, and uranium is also a toxic. If you use uranium, of course, it can also, in the long run, become also in this world trouble when it comes to input and energy. So anyway, it's highly toxic. So therefore, we really need to avoid that. So if I'm going to summarize it, the phosphate rock is non-renewable. That is what we're using today. We need to stop doing that in long-term perspective. We need to use the resources that are already in the ecology. The cadmium and uranium is a huge problem. It means that the resources that are free from that is very limited. And the cadmium and uranium need to be separated before we put them in fertilizer. And this will be very important for policies going forward. One problem that we are facing is that we are growing in population. And also we are growing when it comes to how population are getting more and more wealthy. In the fourth industrial revolution, more of the population was in this part of this square. It means that we were very few that were rich and very few that consumed a lot of food. 2050, there will be many people that demand much more food. So we need to produce 50% more food already in 2050. And more food means, of course, more use of phosphorus. For a very long time, we have believed that we could really increase the way how we produce things without using resources. But and it looked very positive all the way into the year 2000, 2001. Then we saw that the GDP growth also demanded more and more material. But the question is, why has that happened? The thing is that we are using new resources. We have the digitalization, meaning that our infrastructure, IT infrastructure, and our cell phones demand material. The resources are very crucial going forward. So in the 1980s, we have used 12 elements. Nowadays, we use more than 55 elements. 45 it was in year 2000. At the same time, we have believed that we have more than one Earth because we have the take, make, and dispose. We are taken up from under the Earth crust, then we have made things of it, and then we just get rid of it. So what has happened is that the sphere of where our deposits are being made are now making a huge impact, negative impact. So we are toxifying the place that we should live on. So that means also that lands are more and more toxified. And of course, it ends up in the food in a long-term perspective. But yes, Lars Lindén also stated we have positive signs. And we have the SDGs going forward that has the ambition that we until 2030, if we fulfill them all, we will definitely be in a better place. But what's good with them is that this unites us. We have now the possibility, business as well as politicians, to start to talk with each other, start to collaborate with each other. And solving the phosphorus question is definitely something about collaboration. We need to collaborate with the policymakers, we need to collaborate with the cities that has the problem, and of course we need to also collaborate with new circular business models. It means definitely that linear business models will end. So it will hurt many of the existing structures. And that would be very interesting to see also the financial sector. When they found out that the circular economy, that's the next thing, I definitely would say that they will avoid investing in linear structures. So it's will have a huge impact also on the economy. That is what I see going forward. And what's good with SDGs is that everything is connected. We can see that if we do something in one of the goals, it will affect the others. And what's amazing is that phosphorus and recovered phosphorus will have a positive impact of 10 of them. So doing one thing can have positive effect if you do the correct thing. Another positive thing, the world has also united that we should reduce carbon emissions, or we should be able to not extend the 1.5 degrees, or at least 2.0 degrees. The state now in Sweden is that we have not had rainfall for more than 3 weeks, and it's even warmer in Sweden now than it is here in New York. So we are really having a lot of wildfires. And the reason why is, of course, because we have a global warming. The Paris Agreement is, of course, one very big important step going forward, but it also means change. New business models we need to appear. We also have the 9 planetary boundaries. Each of them could mean that we will not be able to live on this planet. This is also a scientific agreement. We also know about the scarcity of raw materials that we need. The examples we talked about in the cell phones that we need. And the more we invent things, the more we need new resources, the more we see also the scarcity. And this is the 27 different critical raw materials that Europe has said that we don't even have it in Europe. And if we are facing a war or some other critical situation, without those, the economy will stop in Europe. And the thing is that over time, the number of critical raw materials has increased. In 2011, when the first list was announced, there were 14 just. In 2014, 20, and 2017, 27. So for me, it means that, shit, we are now starting to understand we have a scarcity. If I go back now in time, how has we been able to increase our wealth? Yes, it has been because we have digged up things from under the ground. If we go back already back to 1850, we see that the copper content in the ore that we mined were up to 20%. Today, we are mining 0.25%. That means that we have a mine left over us 99.75%. How does it look in the future? Well, the problem is that when we are mining, we need to use much more energy in order to mine it. And this energy is not linear, it's exponential. So we need a lot of energy. At the same time, we need to change our energy system, and that is really not working. At the same time, the demand for resources from now until 2050 are increasing heavily. We need more copper if we're going to electrify. We need more lead, indium, gallium, zinc, lithium, cobalt, and iron. Iron, the most existing mineral in the world. We are running out of mineable iron if we use the same amount as we've done until now in year 2075. Of course, there's iron, but it's extremely expensive to mine going forward. But we have other extremely scarce material. And the only solution going forward, we need to create circularity. So with circularity and much more recycling, we won't be running out of resources. But we need to start doing it now. We can't postpone it. And why can't we postpone it? Because it will hurt the economy. If we hurt the economy, we will have social distress all over the world. And we can't cut taxes. It won't create growth because we don't have the resources that will create growth. What we have come up with is therefore a solution. This is Ragnsells' 3 principles. When we are gathering material, when we're getting waste to our facilities, we say that the solution that we should treat the waste with should always be by those 3 principles. We should de facto use the waste as a material resource that should avoid new extraction from the crust of Earth. We shouldn't construct things that we don't need, for example. When we do have the material coming into our facilities, we should then detoxify, take away the toxin, and that's extremely important. And then, of course, the solution should not put the debts to future generations. When we have those three in combination, we will know it's a circular solution also. Now coming to the phosphorus question, how to do it and how is it done today? Today we are spreading sludge on the fields. We have some things how we can recover phosphorus and nutrients directly from the sludge. But the thing is, this is not sustainable. This is not going to work in the future. What we see going forward, you can continue 2 slides, I think. What we see going forward is a big challenge because more and more cities, more and more countries understand the problem of putting the sludge directly back on the fields. So we see that the content in the sludge is unsecure. We have this situation now in Germany that they have put a ban on direct putting on sludge on landfills just because of the problem with what it contains, all the way from microplastics to other contents. So what will the future be? We believe that directly spreading of sludge on a global level will be more and more challenged, but the two other main streams that we have, this should really be used and developed even further. In Germany, we have recently just put a new law in place, and Lars stated in the beginning that he said it was very important that we have the laws and legislation in place. And I can really undermine it. It is really very, very correct. Without the laws in place, it won't be possible because it's much cheaper to just put it out in the oceans. It's much cheaper to just put it in a landfill. So we need to have a demand from the policymakers that we need to take care of the phosphorus. As a result of this, Germany has understood that mono incineration of sludge will be crucial. They already are incinerating a lot of the sludge. But the future until 2030 will definitely be dominated by mono incineration. And it means that they concentrate the sludge and concentrate the phosphorus. So it'd be very effective. So it's easily then to mine and to use. And we can go 2 pictures ahead and 1 more. Today, what we're doing today is that we do extract some of the phosphorus already today in several of the wastewater plants. The thing is that it's just maybe 15% of the phosphorus is able to be mined. So therefore, the focus is now to understand how can we use the steps after the wastewater plant. The wastewater plant can definitely take away the biogas and use that. But after that, this is now where the focus is coming. And what we see, what is happening is on a global level, country after country are now debating and said that we don't want to do this. So it means that the solution should be how can we out of the ashes then extract the resources and separate it from the toxin. In Germany now, there are buildings, the municipalities are now building new incineration plants all over Germany just because of the legislation that is coming in place. So the starting point to really do it in the right way has been the legislation. Then of course we need to have science, then we need to have business to then go in and collaborate with the society and create the solutions. And there are a lot of solutions out there, but I believe there's just one that is really good, I believe, going forward. I will soon come to that solution, how to do it. So, because what we need is to have real clean phosphorus products. It shouldn't be contaminated with cadmium or uranium. And it's crucial for our future generations. So we do have children that are not being poisoned. Today, that's a big problem really with the food content. So we don't really understand what we are eating, but we will see the consequences in 10, 20 or 30 years. And that's too late. So take responsibility now, I think is very important. And the solution. We have our technique that is based on industrial symbiosis. It means that we are using different kind of waste streams, and we combine those waste streams, then we can extract the resources out of it. So it means that the acid going in here, hydrochloric acid, for example, is a leftover in the chemical industry. We use it as a resource in order to separate the different kind of substance from the fly ash. So in total, what we're seeing now is that 95% of the phosphorus we can extract, but we can also extract the iron chloride, the aluminum chloride. So it means that we can bring back what has been put in the wastewater plant also to increase the level of biogas production. So this is not a 100% circular solution, but it's almost 100% circular solution when it comes to circling back the phosphorus. The research now is continuing to see how can we develop and even take out more research. And of course, we are taking away the phosphorus. So the cadmium and other substances are being not circulated back into the ecosystem again. And then, of course, Lars, we talked about the important collaboration with LKAB, the big mining industry in Sweden. And I have an example here in my hand, and I will show it to the camera. This is a mining waste, but there's a small white strip here, and that's phosphorus. In 1880, when Hjalmar Lundbom, that was a person that was ordered by the government in Sweden to go up to the northern part of Sweden because he had the order to try to find phosphorus. But what he found was iron. And then we started to mine. And the problem is that the phosphorus up in LKAB, it contains a lot of arsenic. But with our technique, we can then separate the arsenic and the phosphorus, and out comes a clean monoammonium phosphate. So this is a fertilizer that can be directly used without any content of any arsenic in this case. But also, what is also very good is that we also are extracting the rare earth elements. Today, dominated by China, 95% of the world market are dominated by China, and that's one of the big problems going forward when we see how we construct cell phones. So our technique is also used to collect them, and we will start them to be used in Europe also those extremely valuable materials. These were examples of how we are now trying to enter the future. We are far ahead from what the politicians allow us to do. So therefore, we have been in UN and to address the world leaders. Please give us the opportunity, make the laws, put the policies in place, and we will be able to assist together with the municipalities, together with business partners, to create circularity. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you very much. I'll keep you on the floor. You said it in the end, legislation, is that the key challenge here?
That's one of the key challenges. Of course, we have a linear structure today. We see that the policies, the laws in Sweden, when it comes to waste, they were put in place in the 1960s. And then waste was really a problem of how to get rid of it. That was the littering problem. Today we see it's a resource focus. We had Dr. Ad Lansing visiting from the Netherlands for a month ago. Dr. Ad Lansing, he is the founding father of the Lansing's ladder, or the waste hierarchy. He came up with this idea in the 70s. It was put in place in legislation in the Netherlands in 1990s. He's today in his 80s, late 80s, and he came to Sweden for 1 month ago with a waste focus to try to also continue to develop the waste hierarchy. He left 44 hours with a resource focus and said that resource management, that's the key going forward. So it's also about changing mindset, not just politics, because we need to have the politics and give them the strength so they are empowered to make the right legislations. And in Sweden today, and I would like to congratulate the Swedish Minister of Environment, she has now suggested, I believe, the strongest law in the world, how to get resources back in society. But not just her, all political parties in Sweden has now said, we understand now how to do it, why we should do it. So let's do it.
Fantastic. Big applause for her. But we're not ready. Pär, I need you here. So with that, we're going to open up for questions. So I have a microphone, so questions now. This is the opportunity. Have any questions? Well, that gives you a very high ranking on the presentation. It was clear, crisp, and everybody got it, right?
So I answered why, how, and when. Good.
Exactly. So a big hand. Thank you very much. And that concludes from Nordic Innovation House in New York today. So I would like to Silva, will you come up again?
There we go. Okay, I think I'm live now.
We're in business.
Very
so
good.
With that, we would like to extend a big thank you to Silva. Big hand.
Thank you so much for coming over, and we of course hope to see you all back at Nordic Innovation House, and when you are watching at home in the Nordics and are thinking of opening shop here in New York, we should be your first address. So please remember us when you are coming over, and we're all here.
Thank you, Silva, and also thank you to everybody participating here, both live and here at Nordic Innovation House. Special thanks to Ragn-Sells, to Lars and Pär. I know you have extremely hectic days in UN, but you made it, we made it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Yes, Lars, and the rest of